So Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje, great to finally meet you.
It's nice to meet you, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome back home.
Thank you.
When was the last time you were here?
I snuck in about 18 months ago, in the back door. So,
Right.
I wasn't on the big
Low
stage.
key.
Yeah, low key, family, friends.
Wow. So movies, movie series, 25 years and more, and it's been absolutely amazing for you. That's been a great journey for you, right?
Yes, yeah. I've been able to traverse both TV and film and genres. One of the few actors that's able to do both Marvel and DC and, to still do dramas and comedies and action. And so I've had a wonderful time.
Yeah, but this is a big one for you, Farming. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your directorial debut and everything. Now, Financial Times called this riveting. They also said it's raw. Was this on purpose for you? Because I know this is also a very personal story.
To be riveting and raw, absolutely. I'm depicting a time in Britain, which is actually from the 60s, 70s through the 80s. But the film, Farming, is, farming was a term that was used by British social workers to describe a phenomenon that occurred in Britain throughout the 60s and 90s, whereby the Nigerian immigrants coming to Britain would foster or farm their children out to white working class families en masse, thousands and thousands all over Britain, in order so that they could work, study and save. And the idea was that once they'd accomplished what they set out to do, they would then collect their children and return back to Nigeria. That was the plan. But however, with every plan, there's the vicissitudes of life that fall in, and Farming follows my personal journey. I was farmed at 6 weeks old to a couple in the southeast of England in an area known as Tilbury. And at that time, there was a huge backlash against the immigrant influx that manifested in gang and skinhead subcultures on the street. So I was subjected to acute racial attacks, both emotionally and physically, growing up as a young black Nigerian child in Britain. So it was important for me to depict a Britain that was realistic for a young black man growing up there. Many people internationally see Britain represented through the monarchy or the Beatles or James Bond, but here was a perspective from a young black Nigerian's point of view of what it was like to grow up, and it was important to be honest about that.
Yeah, for many Nigerian audiences, this concept of farming is very new. Most of us had never heard about it until we saw this movie and we saw the synopsis. We were like, oh wow, this thing actually happened. What do you think the reaction of Nigerians would be to this film when they eventually see it and they find out and discover what Nigerian families were actually going through in the 60s and in the 70s? What do you think the reaction is going to be?
Well, there's a large proportion that already are aware of the phenomenon because, they're the ones that started it. But, I've screened the film a lot in the UK and with Nigerian audiences, and probably one of the most rewarding things to come out of the film is how they've embraced it. And how the film has become a form of collective therapy for all those that went through the practice, both the children and the parents. There were secret traumas that were carried by many of the children into their adulthood, and the film has provided a platform for dialogue and with families and the healing, which is important, and that was one of my intentions. Our culture, we don't readily air our dirty laundry in public, but this is a case of it's a healthy thing to do for us as a people, so that we can learn from our child rearing practices, and so that in the future we know that we don't have to make those same pitfalls, because there were lots of errors that were made. There were no checks and balances in place where these children were placed. There was no real research as to where you were placing them, whether there were good areas for black people to be or bad areas. So it's a way for us as a culture and a people to reevaluate how we raise our children. And also the film really begs, is what we were searching for worth what we were giving up? Which is, that love connection between the parents. Because as I said, I was there at 6 weeks old, and you form a bond with your foster parents over and above that with your biological parents. And in many cases, that's what happened. And in some, you know, in the house that I was in, you know, we had 10 or so Nigerian children at a time. 50 go through that household throughout the parents' lifetime.
Wow.
And some of the Nigerian parents never returned for the children. So they literally left and abandoned them and started a new life. So this is a way for us to really reevaluate how we, you know, raise our own offspring, and to evaluate our aspirations. What's really the most important? Is it an education and a foothold in an economic base, or is it love and a harmonious family?
Wow, that's deep, that's deep. Anyway, so directorial debut, what's it like sitting in the boss's chair, controlling everything, everything that's happening on the set?
Everybody wants to be the boss, but it is very, very stressful, and particularly for a film like Farming, which is obviously biographical. I not only wrote it, I directed it, I starred in it, and I did all the music in it as well. So lots of hats I was wearing. Very stressful, but ultimately very rewarding. And I think I exercised so many creative muscles during the process. I could never just go back to simply acting. I will always, you know, make films as well as act. So.
That's amazing. What was going through your mind when you were thinking about who to work with, especially the actresses and the actors that were on the project, especially, of course, Nigeria's Genevieve Naji and Kate Beckinsale and the rest of them?
You know, I just wanted the best actresses for the part, and obviously what helped me is the fact that I knew the people that they were portraying intimately. So I knew what I was looking for within those actresses or actors. It was important for me to, for instance, with Kate Beckinsale, it was important for me to find an actress that had natural charisma of a star and the gravitas that could seat her within that world. And I'd seen work of Kate's, and that resonated for me. I could see she could do that. And, you know, it was important for me also to have an authentic Nigerian actress play, you know, the Nigerian mother. And, you know, I've watched Genevieve's work for many years and an admirer of it. And she's such a talented actress. So it was important for me to serve as a bridge between Hollywood and Nollywood and bring her on a bigger platform. And that worked out, and she's phenomenal in it. And I hope I can do more of those alliances.
We hope so too. You used to speak Yoruba.
Dear, no.
Dear. Anyway.